It's Shirley with Spirit of Matter. And this is actually not a Mercury day, but a Sol night with Sun approaching Al Qaid. So let's call on Al Qaid so we won't get assassinated for what we say today. Whatever. And this is Mercury hour. And Mercury is 15 degrees Virgo, opposing Saturn. So Sun is trining Uranus. And let's harvest. Let's harvest these vibes, okay? We're gonna need them. Mercury is opposing Saturn. Ascendant is ruled by Venus, and Venus is applying to conjunct Spica, so we can call on Spica for eloquence, justice, and so on. Moon is applying to conjunct Rahu here in the 12th house. But I did record this episode because it's ruling Mars, and Mars is squaring the nodes from Cancer. So it's about to be explosive. Um, we had the lunar eclipse today. I have to admit, the eclipse was on my ascendant. It is an emotional kind of thing. To me, and the midheaven is right on the anaretic degree of Capricorn, pinpointing Pluto and the bisextile. Okay, so as a person who had this lunar eclipse on her ascendant, um, I'm still like not sure what this is about. um, but there was a funny thing that I felt like a little junk coming from, like emotional junk. And then I met the person who was Ketu Moon. and they just made me feel happy. I don't know. They had a nice post about themselves being an eclipse. So just laughing about this and the fact that I'm pre-eclipse child and so on. But this was the fact that I'm pre-eclipse child in relations to my relationships. So that was interesting. And I was looking at Moon Pluto, both the hard aspect and the easier. Um, and so that was just my day and traveling a little bit, wondering about things. So Mars now is squaring the nodes. With the Saturn opposition, with this Mercury opposition Saturn, Mercury has left its shade from the Mercury retrograde. But something funny happened. I don't know if it was in Lebanon or Jordan, the beeper stuff. Did you hear about the exploding beepers? So there was supposedly on guerrilla warriors of Hezbollah, and many people had their beepers exploding. So it is just, I don't know, like, I don't know how to delineate. Beepers is obviously technology. The explosives is obviously Uranus, and I don't understand. It happened yesterday. It happened today. And yes, I don't quite get it. But that's just something. I felt this Mercury Saturn really annoying. Kind of like it makes you want to take action, but it doesn't quite allow for the kind of action time yet, and then there's this Mars that's squaring the nodes, and the moon is about to really trigger this Mars squaring the nodes from Cancer. Now, Mars, as we know, will be in Cancer until spring, and I said it's going to be the spring of people or the spring of nation, but this is a winter, okay? I've been watching Monty Python's skit on the army, And it's getting very personal. I don't know, because the Second World War, this has been accompanying us with culture, with ancestry, with many things. I don't know. Um, and now it's getting very personal, relevant. Um, my immediate family is not in, um, but yeah, I mean, my father served in NATO when he was younger. Um, and that's just, I mean, it is, I am half Israeli, half Dutch. I live in Israel currently. And so we have, one day I was joking, I said, I'm feeling myself Andromeda. Missiles in the north, missiles in the south, uh, beepers in the east, and American ships carrying bombs in at sea. So and then from the European side, it's kind of like, well, all these talks of mandatory army recruitment, um, this shit's happening. So yeah, I mean, shit is becoming real. I'm afraid that the that's about to hit Rao in the coming hours may mean that. So um, I'm still flabbergasted about exploding beepers. I mean, Mercury wasn't doing anything to Uranus today. Mercury is just opposing Saturn. And there's nothing explosive about, Saturn. I mean, yes, the sun in Virgo, which is kind of like Mercury's sign, is in a wonderful explosive aspect, harmonious explosive to Uranus, but this is kind of, and the ruler Mercury is opposing Saturn, so it's like death by technology, you know. And then there's always the reporting and the framing. It's kind of like, yeah, we killed guerrilla wars, and like, who knows how many civilians were dying from that. Even when you think about prime organization of the city where I'm currently visiting, is Beersheba, and it's gang wars. So cars were exploding, shootings, and whatnot. Actually, before we arrived here, um, and and of course civilians were killed. So imagine war, right? Like, it's not. So that is another thing that comes to mind. Um, of course, I don't like the T square that Mars is forming right now. But hey, it's not opposing Pluto. Mars is not opposing Pluto today. I just want to say Pluto. Um, I know there are some shared on the Hebrew Facebook. I shared a colleague astrologer who's been doing astrology for more years than I'm alive. She's 45 years astrologer. I'm 40, so she said something might not nice might happen end of November or end of October for Israel, with Mars opposing Pluto for the first time. Um, and then I have, another colleague that is no less professional arguing with her, saying it's nothing and that's not how the way you say things and whatnot. After I shared her post, of course, so I got caught up in the midst. But the thing is that I don't know. I did get, when you remember when I did the podcast and for the Mars opposing Uranus, and I had something bad energy coming, and you know that whether it's my psychologist or whatever, or all these people that like to be watchers in whenever I say stuff or stuff like that, then some of them will planning enforcing the 7th October. So if they get a bad feeling, then perhaps they know what's about, okay, of what's meant, or they just sense it. But the thing is, um, I'm not super excited for this moon conjunct in Rahu. It's going to trigger the eclipse again, the lunar eclipse. But let me tell you something, it's also going to trigger the solar eclipse that we're going to be having in Libra in October. So we have a touch on something that a touch on fate, a touch of fate, a touch on fate. A couple of things that were running through my mind today. I've made a lot of jokes about labor and work and Hitler, and you know me, I joke about this. I live in a place where the country chart has Mars, Saturn, and Pluto in my 6th house, making it squaring my Sun and Venus, squaring my Scorpio stellium. So, I just joke about my outlet. But I met funny things happening. Okay, something in my city was a infiltrator that infiltrated the group of where I live and began to talk shit about a person that's just a war veteran that sometimes asks for 5 shekels to buy falafel. That's the truth. I don't know how he gets falafel in 5 shekels, but he just asks for the money, and that's just life. Okay, so was infiltrating the group and trying to talk shit about him, Hitler on him. and this is an artist city, mind you. It was an artist city, an artist village where I live. So you can imagine I had a lot of good stuff. I got pissed at someone on the train. They're just mentioning work and so on. I just got upset right to her face. Arbeit macht nicht frei, and just poofed on. And that's surprising to me. But the sun is trining Urano Beta Persei. Okay, and Urano Beta Persei is about our sexual well-being, our all the AI revolution to do with art. Jagrite has Jupiter on Beta Persei, and look at her now. Okay, look at her shining and not spilling the tea, but just exposing what actually needs to be exposed about the industry, the connection to the government, and so on, and the connection to politics, because it's one and another. Okay, our politicians are musicians and actors, and our musicians and influencers are politicians. Okay, that their intelligence. There's something important to know if you're doing any one of these, professions. So that's something that kind of came up. So there was this unexpected rebellion, outlet, release, and a lot of thinking about food. And this is where I begin to wonder, okay, is it because Aries is my 2nd house, so that's to do with food and so on? But I was just thinking today, because the many times I was hungry when I was at work. And so, and then I went on the bus, and there were 2 consecutive people who checked the tickets, and one person got mad about the second one. And I said, why are you mad? If he didn't do his job, then you would tell him go. To the ticket person, I said, well, you like I'm providing jobs doing nothing. But if somebody doesn't have money to pay, please don't tell him get a job, because he might get yours. And that was my mood today. And so part of it is personal, but a part of it I feel is touching on anything that is rebellious, is Uranian, is touching on the spirit of the time. And it's kind of when I was an academic, we were taught to much like when you write a script. Okay, when I was studying screenwriting in high school, and but the teacher said, well, we write always about ourselves. And I said, the fuck, I don't know what to write about myself. And also, I just write, okay? So we write always about ourselves, and then from ourselves it goes to the other. And then when I was in academia for my thesis, then we thought the idea for the research question is coming from the self, but you go and write it and take it outside of the self, is there where you write a thesis. So those things are touching on, in astrology, personal planets and outer planets. And so perhaps eclipses can also be another example of this, because it's going from the personal to a theme that is being experienced in society. So the theme of labor, yield to labor. Pluto is on the anaretic degree now. Remember 2008, okay? Many of us, including myself, have lost our faith in work, okay? I was very idealizing work to the point of not very healthy, both studies and work, not very healthy. I have Uranus, I have Neptune in my 11th. I have Uranus in my 10th, but I have Neptune in my 11th. So I'm very ideal, and when that ideal is disillusioned, was a big disillusionment. But so much so that I said, okay, if and all of these traumas are related to just attempting to make a living, okay, were common. And then you ask yourself, okay, how much of it is personal, and how much that many people deal with, and each person, touches on the egregore in a different way. So there were all of these things coming up, very congested, very conjuncted, even a Cassandra theme coming up again. I believe asteroid Cassandra is somewhere in Aquarius. I need to check this. Then there's Victor bringing up the X-Files, which was funny. I became a screenwriter through watching X. I was writing, and then I began to do screenwriting after the X-Files. And I went through a major transformation with just this. So there was foot setting into the film industry, which is basically MK Ultra. But I didn't know that. And I was fortunately not born into that in that sense. But I do have family that has connection to Saban family, which was a film. And then my father's has had to do with loving the camera, let's say, and cars. So cars and films. That's just trying to bring the things together. The ancestral lineage and stuff like that. Very weird. Like I don't know. So it's difficult to tell. Then there was the Watergate. I call this the Watergate, the implosion of the Ocean Gate. Then there was another footage. So the implosion again coming up. And I don't know why, because Saturn is not where it was when Saturn was in the first phase of Pisces around that. So images coming up is very Mercury Saturn. But I just call it the Watergate. So yeah, Sun is about to conjunct Al-Qaid again, and this is an interesting, because the interesting thing about this eclipse is that it's a lunar eclipse that takes place, and it's not uncommon, okay, but it's an interest. It's a funny structure, because then we have the Luna, okay, with the eclipse, and then a couple of hours later, of course, she touches on Rahu. If it's a lunar eclipse, Luna is closer to Rahu, so she touches on Rahu. So it's another trigger of the eclipse. I want you to consider the following hours like an eclipse, because the moon is hitting on where Rahu was with the lunar eclipse earlier in the morning. So, and this is going to be an even stronger touch, because the moon is basically going to square Mars while it's at it, and we're expected something. I know people say eclipses they affected the people, and so on. It's true. So I'm feeling very strong what I said. Okay, I said what I said about NATO. I said what I said, and when I looked into kind of like the taxation scandal, the things, the insider knowledge that only if a particular way you find, and I talked about it on the Neptune Saturn of Mercury on another level. But I feel that it is going to be it's going to be it. Okay, I don't know if it's the coming hours, if it's just the 3 months of the eclipse, but this is just, you know, something is going to be affecting all of Europe and at least North Africa. um, there's something very interesting politically, because a lot of people say, "No, why do we give weapon to Ukraine?" Whereas what I like, Ruta talked about now head of NATO, okay, talked about Putin doing a Finlandization of Europe, which basically is that when he eyed Finland, and that's something that of course traded with secret societies, but on the you must pay attention. Okay, it's not like, oh, they have an ongoing thing with Ukraine and a little bit of Georgia, not the Georgia of US, Georgia of Georgia. Okay, um, and so that's an expansion, and they were eyeing Finland. Okay, Finland joined NATO for a reason, um, and I think that's together with all the components. Okay, the baggage, the taxation baggage, the child trafficking baggage in the Netherlands under Rutte regime, the Brussels, the 1996, the Croix, that's still on. Okay, that's still discussed, and the timing. Okay, that we have a person that's coming up with a huge, tremendous timing for second Saturn return. And yes, Uranus is going to go on Mark Rutte's midheaven. Not in a while. He has some months before that begins to happen. Uranus 27 is already back and forth. Midheaven 28 is not even 26. It's not on Beta per se, but it's Uranus hitting the midheaven, which is going to be quite spectacular. Okay, with Venus in the 7th and the 11th. Okay, so we're definitely observing that, um, and it's going to mean a lot to we the people, because that might mean mandatory army service, mandatory recruitment. It put me in you know in almost personal position as an astrologer, as it's my duty to tell you, okay, that this is what is on, and it's also my duty to cover for the figures that I cover on this channel, reverence. Okay, so I'm trying to balance these things, and yet I must report to you, okay, what I see, um, and that is one giant of a deal for Europe, for Africa, because it's one thing that Putin has his eye on Finland and he may have his eye on Europe, and that's not false. I don't know internal affairs of Russia. There may be reasons, and it's another thing that there's a shitload of baggage when it comes to the incentive to act um, in front of that. And that definitely is orchestrated, and that definitely is serving of these parts of elite or secret societies that want to perpetuate war, that want to put people and leaders in impossible situations, and pit them against each other, and do that to the people. So the people will blame the leaders, and not they won't have even the time or the emotional breath, okay, to tend to it. I can say that this is a shitload of junk. It's a shitload of junk, of junk to whole junk to process. Um, just tending to it, okay. So I feel like the coming hours are going to be important for the people, and I feel like this is information you want to know. Okay, you can watch my other videos and so on. As for the self, I felt emotional fatigue. Really, just watch some video of somebody taking their Renault Megane to Europe with their brother to the northernmost bridge with some nice music. It's Norway. E69. That's the name of the road. I didn't invent it. To Norway, and that was very calming. In those times, and it's not a wonder that, for lunar eclipse in Pisces, you just watch the good old Europe with all the culmination of with the secret societies, the expandable children, the relation to taxation, the rules, obeying and disobeying, the mass killing, the cold cases industry, the everything of it. And it's like, this is Europe. The hermaphrodite cults, okay, this is Europe. It's not gone, and it's going through one chaotic set of events. And I tell you, when Sirius was rising, I was asleep. I was well asleep. I was well slept. I was already called to look at Ruth's chart before that, and it was known that he's moving from this position to that position. I was well slept, so I didn't catch for the color of the rising of Sirius. And I got the feeling it was red as fuck. Okay, red, but it's rosy red. And that's, some of it is astrology, and some of it is just like how I feel about this. And Trump's playing a role there. I know that they're bringing Trump to Europe. I don't know exactly what his role is, but he's playing a huge role. Okay, whether it's all the right-wingers that were very much, I think Trump himself was saying to him, and it might not be wrong, okay? So, you want to watch, and I don't know what role is Trump playing there, but you want to watch that because he's making maneuvers, he's making a lot of maneuvers, and all the immigrant issues. I said what I said, okay? Brussels, I said what I said, okay? It's very much the White March, the backlash from the White March in Paris. And White March is not about KKK, it's about actually something that's good and important. the entire way, and you want to watch through this channel, okay, through the Verstegen's channels, Mama versus Mafia, okay, you will get pissed because sometimes it's bringing things that you think immediately are either anti-Semitic or this or that. No, watch the entire channel. Her point is not about anti-Semitism or something like that. Um, and, and I feel like that is creating a big play of events where we're gonna be seeing that in North Africa, where they talk about China, but they're also with NATO. Okay, so I don't know what's going on there. 2027 will be important for North Africa. And then there are the issues of like East. I kind of feel, I admit, I know I reside in the Middle East, but I admit I was, you okay, um, and then apparently, your region is the show. So yeah, sun is still on Israel, Uranus is still on Israel's sun. Um, it's still on. It will be on. I think the Urano is even more important for Israel than the Urano Algol. Um, but I could be wrong. Okay, son of Israel. We are heading for Uranus return, which I talked about as well. So as per channelings, all the MK Ultra stuff. So yes, we're talking about like scenarios with war with Iran, and so on. I think Victor talked about war with Iran. So yeah, definitely. Okay, kind of like the beginning of a world war, stuff like that. The fact that it's all a show doesn't mean that people do not get killed in this show. Um, and this is, yes, also important to recall. Remember that the hermaphrodite cult, they thrive on causing trauma of the sun and trauma of the moon. Okay, so they try to create psychological division, psychological trauma. And rituals to do that, rituals of human sacrifice, of children sacrifice, to interfere with fertility, the XXY children, okay, to clone people, and so on. And then there's the solar, okay, where they try to do black sun rituals, to sacrifice, okay, because the point is with solar eclipses and lunar eclipses, that's the thing, okay, they try to control the people. So when the elections come for declarations of independence, they try to make the moon in a bad position. Okay? That's the thing. And for the sun, because for the solar eclipses, and of course the constant traumas that they try to perpetuate for the people, because lunar eclipses, what does it mean that the lunar eclipse affect the people? It's not that there will be loss for the people. It's that there is a shift of perspective. If you think about Pluto Aquarius as power to the people, yes and no, but lunar eclipse is basically another power to the people. The people go through rejuvenation. And so to control the people, they need to really work hard and try to harvest these moon cults and invert the intention of the moon, so that every man will have trauma from his mother, so he becomes serial killer. And I'm talking about the harshest the trauma, the more this becomes. And you think, oh, this is the serial killer, we see this, we see that. No, darling, this is the politicians, this is the musicians, this is the decisions makers. Okay, this is the people behind the wheel. And if you think, oh, well, if you're a woman watching this, oh, I'll just get me a simple man who's not amongst these people, amongst that's where they hide. A, that's where they hide. B, they perpetuated this trauma on the people. Okay, so it's affecting our relations. And for the soul, because what happens solar eclipses, the leaders, hidden and not hidden, okay, are being eclipsed. Whether it's royalty, but also leaders, performers. Why do we see all this human sacrifice that we see being accused, this accused of witchcraft, that accused of witchcraft, okay? It's because they try, and even killing infants and trying to use their blood to harvest the destiny, like weird shit. And this weird shit is because people are great visibility, they're closer to the sun, and every time there is eclipse, they're affected by this. And this is serious shit. I had my sun is ruling my sixth house, is also sixth house of pets. And I saw where I had eclipse, then a cat came in. Then another eclipse, a mother with her kittens came in, then the other cat got out. Okay? And so, and that kitten went from being the queen of the house, that cat went from the queen of the house to in 2 streets, and then always, like, it's kind of like her 15 minutes of fame for lost. So these people, these solar people, they become one of the common people, and they really try to sacrifice everything possible so it will not happen. Okay, because the transition is not easy, and they try to, okay, to find other sacrifice. As a person, the way that they try to sacrifice me, I'm just like, oh my god, this such weird shit that they cannot even, okay, like really weird shit. I think I spoke about some of that, but it's just such weird shit. And I'm not particularly solar. I have Sol in the 3rd house in Taurus, okay? I'm not particularly solar. I don't know. Okay. And Saturn opposing Sun, so it's like, I don't know, if I wanted to swap souls with someone, I don't think I would pick this Sun, but okay, fine. And then that is of why they try to do this. So you will have issues like the eclipsed father, the missing father, and then the father would have the problem with the mother. Okay, so the father cannot be there for the mother, and then the mother is given trauma because either somebody's missing emotionally or somebody's engulfing emotionally, just want to overprotect. Or you think it's overprotect, but then you go out to the world and it's just like it's not overprotect at all. They had a point to them, okay? And so all of these things are orchestrated, and they affect nations. They affect. I was just thinking, but all these Dutch leaders are covered. I was just thinking of how I'm taking the train to Tel Aviv today and taking the bus, and I was watching the forest, and I was just thinking about, Congo people and how even stuff to do with colonialism and how long it takes to recover from these things. And even it's enslavement of the white people, okay? How long it takes for the white people to recover, and then for black people to recover. And how this affects nations. Okay, so it's not just Israel and its Nazi trauma, and then what people talk about Zionists maybe perpetuating this trauma. There's all these things, and there's so many streams to whatever this Zionism is or wherever it came from. And like I said, I'm a secular person, citizen of the world. I just live and let live. Okay, so like live and let live, that's all that matters, and so on. So happy to pay my taxes when they don't heal the Holocaust. Understand that this is why I'm not getting to a position where I'm able to pay taxation or a lot of taxation, because I don't make enough money, because is just perpetuating Holocaust. So that's another thing that's on. Um, and then there are astrological charts. Okay, there are charts where you simply see that the person is born into um, a situationship in the stars. Okay, and this is true. If you have hard aspects to the moon, hard aspects to the sun, it's something that the native does deal with and has to curate and has to remedy for a significant amount of their life. And then there are people who try to find meaning in that and say, yeah, you did so and so in your past life, and like, that's just serving the hermaphrodite cults. Okay, that's just serving people that don't have your best interest in heart. Maybe it's helpful to people, but if you remember for Ksenia Moore, which she did actual looking into past life of, let's say, Saturn Venus opposition, she saw no, women were oppressed in past life, and now Saturn is delaying their relationships until they can be in good relationships that actually nourish them. Okay, and she walks her talk. She definitely um, have been single for many years and now is not. So that is okay. Another thing happening. Okay, the deeper looks. I think with Pluto Capricorn, Capricorn has a career element to it, regardless of the house that it's at. Okay, it could be a seventh house. Um, it's the climate up the ladder, and you might rethink success, or you might find yourself more successful than you know you are. And I want to tell you that because as a person who has been in the deep of the waters, let's say, and not as people that were born into these cults, but I have Pluto in the ninth house with Saturn and Mars, and and that means, yes, it's house of God, but it's also house of international relations and house of politics and international politics, Pluto's politics, and uh, and it's in a Mars sign. Okay, so think about banking, real estate, and all these things. Even as a, even as, yeah, what is, should I even say this? Yeah, let's take it lightly. Okay, when I was in between houses, I said I was seeing kind of like an ad of a crime reporter that was murdered and so on. Immediately I felt something wrong with police. Now I was thinking from my point of view as woman that escaped violence. I was like, oh, he was murdered the same way women that escape violence are murdered. I didn't know the depth of the rabbit hole. I still don't today, okay? And then it was very funny because I was in between houses and I was getting channeling from many people, but also from them. And to change my story, then every time they would think to close the shelter, I would go like to pick for this house to look for the land and for this and for that, and kind of like to manifest. Later, I would have the honor to be in a fans group of Darren Hayes, and he talked about he manifest in a house. So it's very interesting. Yes, it's Saturn on my Rahu in the fourth house, which is housing. And so when I checked, I said I need the bravery to check about that journalist. I said, oh, he didn't, he had his family and so on, was open relationship. And then there was a woman that was in, she wrote a big book about their affair. And apparently she said, if we were looking for a house together. And now in my chart, the ruler of partner, the ruler of housing, is the same ruler. So I could not help but laughing. I said, oh, yeah, it was a woman that wanted to be with him. It's no big scandals. But that was, yes, before I know about many things that I know today. But this was very funny, okay? It was just very funny about how all these things connected together. Okay, if you go abroad because you're homeless, and that abroad is actually a motherland, and you see like the internal, the deep of the deep of the deep of the politics, And the weird things that happen with taxation is like weird, like really weird shit in infrastructure and the system design. Um, really like, okay, so having seen those things in the deep where it just happens, I want to tell you, because a lot of people have their passions, um, and whichever passion, okay, whatever is your passion, whatever your 5 years old child was dreaming of, first of all, the telos is for you to do something about this, or this will accompany you. Okay, I think I said it when they asked us what you want to be when you grow up. I said, well, everybody wants to be actor or actresses. I'll be lawyer. And I thought about criminal law. Then I understood was basically a criminal judge what I want. Then I said, well, no, but you have to be lawyer. And I learned the law, okay? And then I saw this note on a grocery store. It said, for in the road, you have to be wise and not just. And it completely transformed my mind, and I started to do story writing and then screenwriting. My screenwriter teacher, one of my screenwriter teacher in university, he was a lawyer, and he told us something very important in the plot film, the classic plot, okay, not the avant-garde. All the plots are story for about going from slavery to freedom. And that year I wrote Far-Fetched. It's not that I wrote Far-Fetched, I began to write Far-Fetched, which was about two FBI agents that discover that there's a arrangement for a world war. And that's it, okay? Like, it was just out there. And I was not much of a conspiracy theorist, okay? With the X-Files, I watched the standalones. So it was just out there. I was writing this at my grandparents' home. My grandfather was already not alive. He died he died the same year that Yitzhak Rabin died. But that was maybe the atmosphere or something. And I saw for like Holocaust. I saw, well, one of the lines in the movie. Well, Russia lost to 200 million people. 200,000, 200 million people. And at least this one, two world wars or one world war. So it's like when you think about the loss of humanity, that was kind of like the thought circulating through my head. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Things that I see today in regarding to people that call themselves Jews, or call themselves Christians, or call themselves Muslims. But then my grandfather read Psalm. But then there are things that I cannot say here. So I don't know. I lost the entire family but his brother. I don't know. I think these things are becoming relevant if I take it like from the personal to the world. Then I want to say to you, if whatever your 5 years old, 4 years old kid wanted to do, first of all, you will advance around this, okay? That thing which you put aside, you will advance towards. Okay, for me, the story of my lineage of like the Second World War, I put aside. But then the songs I was most related to had to do with that culture, okay? Had to do with the Liedermachen, but also, with the Liedermachen. It's basically, these songs is directly there. And being in Europe was for some reason important. I still don't understand why, I have to admit. It's just so. And so first of all, what you think that, you wanted to do as child, or you forgot about it, you will do something completely different, you won't. It will come around. And look at me now, okay, speaking about the corruption in Supreme Court system, and how it's related to intelligence, and how it's related to medicine or medical welfare, and how it's related to entertainment, okay? I think there was an interview with CIA agent. I didn't see the interview yet, but he said this is an asset to the government, okay? Because they look for these people. I need to watch the interview. But it's enough to listen to Jack Wright to say that. So that's another thing that comes up. But and another thing is that your assessment of a success, okay, if you take people like Jack Wright, that she had to do crimes, of course, and can only speak when the time for she cannot be litigated for these crimes, because she was in the industry and she was singing and she was writing. So yes, and she tells about what happens and how they kidnap people and make them, force them to sign, whether it's to sign with blood or sign contracts or sign NDAs, which means you cannot talk about so and so. It's not a choice, okay? It's not volition. It's not choice. Yes, when they are kidnapped like this, they have to either this or die, and it's not death. It's not like somebody shoots you. No. So this is why these things happening, and this is why I spread awareness to abolishing the practice of expandable children, because when we abolish just the leaders, we rejuvenated this system, and they keep doing that. They keep doing that. The heads are prepared. It's exposed so that we will assist to do the dirty job of the government, okay? So sometimes you see it as assassinations, sometimes we see it, Trump sees it as assassination attempts towards him right now. He sees that, okay, like his head is expendable right now, and it's not like he wasn't born into these inbred incest cults, and it's not like he had the ability to say, I just go off, which is something we need to understand. And so from this perspective, if you had your childhood dream and was not manifested, okay, then with Pluto Capricorn at least you can understand, or even Neptune Pisces, which is very musical, very artistic, you can understand. You know, I was covering particularly for European, okay, particularly for Dutch politicians, because there's this Nexit and there's Netherlands on the map and so on, and The Hague is in Netherlands, and their relations with Brussels and so on. And I saw from how for most of them they wanted to be musicians, and then, you know, but they don't tell how they become politicians because maybe they can't. So, and it goes by bloodline, okay? If they want this bloodline, that bloodline, and so on. And the clone people, okay, for that, you will be that, you will be that. I don't know what the level of choice you have, like, within the system. But it's very interesting because Neptune, Pisces is very musical, it's very artistic, it's very even shamanic and healer, and but also spy, yes, and very performative. Okay, so acting and playing a role is something that's very important for a politician. Okay, because what they have to do, and Pluto Capricorn. Okay, so these two together. If you had these two together, encompass a lot of the dreams that young people have. Okay, whether it's to shine, to be influencer, to inspire people with your story, even that is MK Ultra. to to do something, or to do business, or to do even science. Okay, we're just entering Pluto Aquarius, but even science, academic structure, religious. So depending on your culture, okay, religious leaders may or may not be something that you are of interest, but for people that are churchgoers, or that that religion plays a role in their life, or like the spiritual gurus, then it's also a form of leader, a form of celebrity, okay. And for those things that maybe people have dreams, okay, I want to be like this, I want to be like that, then a couple of things happen. First of all, you understand that this is what is the reality, okay, for what is the reality of the people who are there, and sometimes not even by choice, okay. I mean, you can like what you do, or like some of what you do, but it's not like choice plays a huge role in these people's lives. And so of what that entails, okay, that's the first thing. It's like, okay, I understand that I had the privilege of being a little bit outside of that for a while. And then there is the notion that it permeates your daytime job. Okay, so it's just when you try to find your safety job, or trying to find this, because your soul needs to express itself. And I guess that's why I was Hitlerian all the time, because and when I say Hitlerian, I bring all these examples that I brought about, Arbeit macht nicht frei, and okay, Arbeit does not make you free, and the journey of the artist and so on. But it's also the artist and the politician, because the politician is not supposed to be something out there. It is something, nor is the artist, okay. It's something that is all about connection, and value, okay. So providing value and bringing connection, and yet there's this dissonance of being the one who is outside a little bit of the society, that sheds the light into the society. So it's sacred role. And then you don't want to dismiss the fact that to relate to people, and to understand people, you need to be one of people, and to illuminate, okay, to share your light, you need to be a little bit outside. So that is journey, I guess, of every person who brings value, and fantastically, it's the journey of every person, okay. So, and the moon is like your family, your upbringing, family, and so on as well. So with all these things, it's very obvious that when it comes to your government having to do a tax trick that will put people out of their housing and employment, so that it's easy to take 100, 1,000, 1,100 children. We all know where they go. Brussels, 1996. And that's the mission. Okay, that's what needs to be done in Netherlands. So if when you're outside, you're born outside of this, you say, oh, thanks God, I'm outside of this. And there are people that never had the honor to be outside of this, and never had degree of choice that would, and degree of choice is not just external, it's also internal, and that is the moon cults. When I say had a person not been through all these traumas, who would they be? What would they desire? I know I said it, okay? It is something that is affecting entire humanity. Um, and then I saw a funny Monty Python skit, which first was about Finland, and the second was about China. So I like Chinese, and it was a bit, yes, it's not a bit derogatory as well, so it's not like I would recommend to you, but it said, well, back there were 900 million of them. I suggest you better begin to like them. The 1.4 billion, I think, today. So, and they are restricting their birth. Okay, so but then what about will and consent? It's another great fertility and population regulator that they haven't considered, because that makes people sovereign and free rather than oppressed and controlled. So, so yeah, I had a day today, okay, and I'm processing through things, and those things are becoming our world politics, okay. So the fact that you may have not managed to pave your path within the so-and-so structure, because the structure must come down first. There's no two way about it. If the structure is snuff of children to whichever position you need to be at, then the structure must come down. There's no two way about this, okay? It's not about, oh, I can do music, I can do politics, I can do, another type of politics, another type of this, another type, and then you're legalizing pedophilia. Germany. So, and they're genuinely a lot to process through, because they genuinely put a lot of effort into trauma. Genuinely, okay, to curate these things. Genuinely, they have put a lot of effort into this. And yes, when you're born into certain charts where you have, like, really harshly aspected moon, really harshly aspected sun, it's something that, there's structure, and then there's the time a baby is born. There's some people, they do, yes, all these surgeries, and I guess for some people it is so. Okay, it was like, it was born not natural birth, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a question of when do we elect, and that is also known to astrologers within the cults. And so the election that, let's say, a mother gets, where she has more leverage to elect her pregnancy, is different than within these elite cults, where they try to make unalive men and then unalive women, and then make all kind of weird Ubermensch experiments, so that they bring elections where it's by purpose, not good election, to have not natural birth, okay. And you can understand that if you go to government-based health, and you have certified astrologers that makes the matches, okay, and you have certified astrologers that makes the elections. My God, I had a joke that there's a community for astrologers that I didn't have a good election to try. And today I wanted to try, but I was like, oh, it shows that it's a bad election. So I wanted to just try on a bad election. And I named the profile. It didn't work because there was technical issues, fortunately. But I wanted to name it, you were born on a bad election. And you know, when a person is born natural birth, even natural for when you have to use a little bit of technology and so it's essentially like the baby picks the time. But when there are these codes governing for that, it's like, oh, the moon is on 22 degrees. Let's do it. And oh, the moon is opposing Mars. And so the birth, sometimes it's just the stars. And then you curate for that and so on. But imagine all these people that were born on cesarean or similar procedures and within these incest cults and are told by their parents, you had this and this because you did that and that in your past life and this is your karma. But if you will do what we say, you will be free. And you need to trust the members of the lodge to lead you blind into the this and that. So whether it's that form of religion or that form of antichrist, it's still this form of abuse. And there's astrological magic that is curation to as much as is possible to curate. Yes, I cannot blame hidden cults for me being born under a moon in conjunct Uranus. I don't have anybody to blame but the sky god. So I pray to the sky god and I work with the sky god and I do astrology and I curate my moon and I just do whatever I have to do, okay? For some people, there was not even natural birth. So, and election is not on purpose, but sometimes for these cults, they try to control fertility so much. They say, oh, if we bombard this moon, if we bombard this sun, then this happens, then that happens. With eclipses, it's difficult because eclipses will eclipse, and then they do all these rites to try to control for both the sun and the moon because this gives us the most famous eclipses, not all the eclipses, and of course Beta Persei, which is why we have so many royal family linked to Beta Persei. When there was a set of eclipses on Beta Persei in Taurus, I began a flow of synastries and composites with Beta Persei. The one who initiated some of the encounters was person that I talked about in academia. He had soul on Beta Persei. Has soul on Beta Persei. So, and Israel has sun on Beta Persei. So that was such a like Beta Persei thing, and I was exposed to that. I was like, yeah, not only the British royal family has Beta Persei issues, I see quite some Dutch leaders, whether royal family or not, Beta Persei infused, okay, Algol infused. And I'm like, that could not be by chance, okay? There is a desire to make them ecliptic. Is trying to control the most fated of events with this Ubermensch thing. And so that is, I guess, why we see those. Okay, I don't have a natural planet on Beta Persei. I have a midpoint. It's actually not my Mercury and Moon, as I don't know. It's my Mercury and IC or something like that. Or my Lilith and Moon. I don't know. It's like I have some midpoints on Beta Persei. Which is the why and how I like see it, okay? But it wouldn't be so fated for me to work with Beta Persei or to do the talisman that I did with literally a lot of fortune that moves so quickly. So to do it on Beta Persei, like just something very fated for me to do this, and I don't quite understand why. I have to admit, I don't have a natural planet on Beta Persei. Heaven knows. heaven knows, you know. But the point is eclipses. The point is eclipses, and the point is for them to try to control eclipses and to inflict, they basically try to control the trauma that is inflicted on people. I don't know, it's so weird. Like, such weird fates are running, but we're gonna see them with Pluto Aquarius, you know. All these weird cults are going to be exposed in Pluto Aquarius, especially the astrology around them. So, being a person who's doing astrology outside of these weird cults, although I am, you know, yes, I self-study in the sense that I'm the one taking action and I'm not enrolled in kind of like hierarchic thing, but it doesn't mean that I don't learn from people. Okay, I learn from astrologers of what they do, what the techniques, and then I look and I have my own, you know, way of seeing things as everybody. But of course, I learn from people, and of course, many, if not all of these people, are within these secret societies, one form or another. Okay, and different ranks, but it's true. And so Uranus is the closest to my Ketu, so and Neptune is the closest to my midheaven, which means also astrologer. Okay, means many things. Astrology is among them. So yeah, this is obviously, okay, very bizarre for me. What else can I tell you? Yes, Lilith has moved a little bit away from Ketu, but she's still with Ketu. And she's bringing some sort of ancient equity. By the way, yesterday I've learned that the black tulip is a symbol of that had to do with slavery in Turkey. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I was shown black tulips. I was working on the chart of one of the leaders and I was shown black tulips. I was like, what does that mean? Looks like a funeral. I don't understand the symbology. Because sometimes they see you and they don't know if you're from the cult. So okay, I should really do an episode of this. Like weird stuff, weird omens they've gotten from people that they worked on their charts. Really good stuff also as well. Great stuff, but it's like really weird shit. Really weird shit. By now I think it's gotten better because everybody knows who I am, channel and my vibrations or whatnot, so but it's like they don't know who you are. What you want. And they approach you sometimes. So that is just so interesting, and it's all energy. So you don't know if it's conscious, not conscious, if it's somebody shape shifting. I really don't know. I guess in the Ahrimanic age of Aquarius, then we're going to know because it's going to be a lot of telepathy, and a lot of people will be doing telepathy. So if he has kind of weird stuff. And then there's like psychological attempts to do psychological abuse through telepathy. Come in this from people that actually did know. Okay, it's not for charts that I do. Mostly, I got quite respectful energy interactions. Quite, you know, I stay with dignity, and and usually that is what is brought back. So all in all, like pretty well. Okay. There's also major reasoning behind every chart, behind every encounter, especially now with all this karmic stuff going on. That's just fascinating. It's kind of like the background of a job and my special situation, because again, I'm not with these cults. So this the opportunity is to create a certain bridge, and the challenge is that um, yeah, we all know the challenges. Okay, so um, it is understanding that in the astrology community there was a question of whether we should do like celebrity charts because this, because that, and my point about this, like, if something is not yellow, then I will, and I will talk about what is out there. And then there are stuff that get of like significant importance to humanity, I guess. Figures that are such key figures, or key figures even presenters that is get of significant importance to humanity, where like, okay, I really have to balance things out because I really have to report this. It's not a journalistic job, okay? It's not like you have an interview and so on. And this is also creating both and opportunities, okay? For the challenges, it's like you don't have another person and so on, but it's like the opportunity is that something can be brought to life in a roundabout way that you would never be able to speak about in an interview, and can be spoken through this channel. And when you think about even figures are quite silenced or isolated, so even though this channel is shadow banned, but this channel is also a voice for people to come in and have their say, okay, and in a way that is of a liminal space, in a way that is, okay, an energy comes in or something comes in, and it's something very non-committant that you don't have to take accountability for it, and I'm speaking of like not for myself, there's nothing to take accountability for, but for the place where you can have an input without being the owner of that input, and in a world where even the leaking or the journalistic or the yes, even WikiLeaks was funded by Rockefeller, and Assange had to do the two symbol, okay, the two gender symbol, to, and it's not two gender like LGBTQ, it's something else, and signed the Espionage Act, and that the lack of immunity that was given to him in Ecuador is now being used as argument against Mark Rutte. Okay, there's a lawsuit against him, where it's actually not definite of what was his role and what was his authority, even as prime minister, regarding the kidnapping of the 1,100 children under the taxation, basically fraud, this bureaucratic fraud, that he was prime minister, yes, but this is the state of Netherlands. And then what would be his ability to say, okay, I don't sign this. It's a memento mori, okay? So this needs to be said to we the people. This needs to be said to we the people, both that you know for what the circumstances behind this world war is. I didn't believe I'll be in that position, but hey, it just happened. And that you will be able to see through the facade, to really assess if you want to end this practice. We gotta do something that is better than off with their heads. If we want to go through Pluto and Aquarius for a position that doesn't bring us back 300 and something years after to the very same position we were 300 years ago. And it doesn't sound like, it sounds like a lot of time. It's not. Right now, Pluto is evolving to Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Mars is going to go over the point of where Pluto was in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It does it every 2.5 years, but now it's going to be hard aspecting Pluto. It's going to be very obvious. Okay, we are discussing possibility of conflict with Russia. Very literally said by head of NATO. Okay, if we've seen something like that on a small scale in the Second World War. If we don't want to come to this point again, exactly this point, we must do something better than off with their heads when the clock strikes 12 and it's November 19 and Pluto is ingressing to Aquarius. We have the support of the Pluto trine Sedna, that is 12 millennia gate, that conjunct with 300 years gate, that we have wisdom to bring, but it's going to be sifting through a lot of bullshit. A lot of bullshit, a lot of things that we've been saying to ourselves about our heritage, about our culture, about our this, about our that. And as a third generation to Holocaust survivor, I'm saying this is not easy to process. This is not easy to process. Especially when everything around encourages you into this division and into perpetuating trauma. But sometimes answers could be so simple that just to see these simple answers within your psyche, and it's a part of what I've been processing today, it looks like you're doing a giant step because everything has been kind of conspiring, so people won't be able to make this giant step that is fated for them to make. We definitely got to do something better than off with their heads. Without disrespecting the fact that actually curating for these wounds is genuinely a lot of process, and yet if you don't have something that keeps perpetuating your trauma, you freaking heal. And this is another informant for you, okay? Many of the things, did you know that for what people say was the worst mental ailment, schizophrenia, okay? In Finland, they did a lot of bad stuff. They castrated people, they still castrate people, they did horrid stuff, okay? Then they did something they should do. They gave housing, indefinite time, independent of ability to work. It sounds like the craziest thing, because we are crazy. We've gotten used to pay for housing. This is insane. Of course you get psychotic. It's a part of the humanity enslavement system. Okay, so you've been living in that psychosis, and then somebody that could break that matrix is like, oh my gosh, that's insane. And then what they believed, the psychotic person, people began to fucking heal. No pills, no antipsychotics, which is another forward. What is pyramidal and extra pyramidal side effects? It is what you think it is. Okay? Housing first, invented in the United States, practiced in Finland. Netherlands, okay, open dialogue, where you believe the person. If they don't go to like incest or something horrid, you don't take them out of environment, but you bridge the gap, where you give this person voice and believe for this person. Okay? Validate for this person. Invented in the Netherlands. Before Bassa van der Kolk told people, oh, you have a war trauma because you were raping people. So rape people. That will heal your war trauma. No, it won't. It would create such trauma within you that to find your way back to your own sensuality of what it was before the trauma. And Netherlands, you know, it has mercy killing for mental issues. Most requests for mental issues, okay? I'm not talking about cancer, physical ailment. For most requests by people who went through incest, psychological abuse, child sexual abuse. How will you market, how will you sell it to the leaders that all of them went through that and all of them had to rape, torture, and murder children? Good luck with that. Why doesn't the government do what? That's the government. That's why. And so you take housing first and you take open dialogue, you put them together. People recover from psychosis, schizophrenia, no pills, no hospitalization, no surgeries, no castration. And then they want to do something with themselves. So they do something with themselves. Provide value. Now, Putin was eyeing this. Roger was very correct. If it's going to be Finlandization of Europe, then what? Finland joined NATO. Where's open dialogue? Where's housing first? Why? Because for these children, they would tell what the authorities do. So somebody has to bring these things together, and yet, not only is it challenging to deliver complex messages in a way that is digestible, this is not me talking to you about, if it was quantum mechanics, I could explain it to you better. Because quantum mechanics, okay, when Richard Feynman was standing on, the podium, and I said, well, yeah, he put probability in physics. He said, well, I cannot make it simple to you because it's not simple. There is probability here. The theory that best explains for these effects, it requires some sort of randomness. Okay, but here, and if you ask me, Shirley, but how come people are raped, people are tortured, and they don't become perpetrators? First of all, you don't know. I have been with such people. I have been with activists. I've been with an activist that went to a woman to sleep the night with a woman that was raped and experienced really weird and fucked up stuff. You don't know, okay? But you don't know. There was time I thought I am healed, completely healed, sleeping well. I went to visit my parents. I slept, no, nothing. In the morning, my parent told me, was it okay that I didn't wake you up in the night? I said, what are you talking about? I said, you were screaming. I had no idea. When I say housing first, I mean it. I mean it. You're gonna live with the roommate? Go find a roommate? Really? Some people get along great. Some people don't. You gotta go to work. It's your colleague. Yeah, good luck with that. But mostly, people need to find in themselves a place that they can do something where they, first of all, they want to be there. If they don't want to be there, it's another trauma. And then, yes, there is this issue called bifurcation, okay? Our nervous system, we talk about Aquarius, it's a non-linear dynamic system, okay? Our access to choice, our will, our ability to exert one or another part of our personality, okay? There's something incredibly dynamic about this, our sense of self-trust, our characters. People study themselves for years upon years to see what circumstances bring the best of me. And then they think they know themselves, then an outer planet change in science, there's going to be so many theories of personality baby booming upon the shifting of the outer planets. When Neptune was in my 12th house, I was a completely different person than when Neptune is in my first house. Absolutely different. Now Pluto is entering my 12th. Neptune entering my second. Uranus about to enter my fourth. Maybe I will fly in space. But then Elon Musk. I don't know. Okay? I don't know. But this is exactly the part of the things that accentuate on our personalities, our life patterns, many things. To explain this to you in a meme, a series of meme, with my Mercury opposition Pluto? You're fucking nuts. And so this is just a lot on the human psyche. But the thing is that, let's take a look at the moon here. There's one more degree, and it's on degree 7, which is the degree, okay, degree 7 is both associated with Al-Qaeda, it's associated with Venus, it's associated with Saturn, Saturn 7-year cycle, karmic. It's a karmic degree with the karmic notes on it. Okay, with the points that are really associated with eclipses. 7 is numerological year, is kind of like the year of karma. Okay, so it's where you are doing your deep thinking. It's a very isolated number. Okay, you go into yourself. When I was in my 7th numerological year, I was in between houses, connecting with my roots, and other lived people that died and so on. and really everything summoning up to understanding something. Okay, and so karma has many things. Has the things that you repent not doing earlier, and the things that you repent doing, and the things that you accumulated so much. And the karma sometimes is not to judge yourself so harshly about certain things. And for many of you, I feel like Pluto in the end, in the anaretic degree of Capricorn, is just that. Okay, it is exactly about not judging yourself so harshly. Okay, and then not judging others so harshly. Okay, you finally understand that thing that you felt, you felt that person was coming from some place that's deep, and you're like, you didn't know for what to explain that. Then you get layers and layers and layers. It's the year 7, and the number 7 is associated with that. You have like composite or midheaven or something like that. It's falling on this degree. I have Rahu that is degree 7. If you look at it from astro.com, it's degree 6. If you look from AstroSeek, it's degree 7. And I kind of feel it's true because it was playing a big part in my life the more I was approaching my Rahu. And now Rahu is on degree 7 and the moon is going to conjunct. In satanic cults, then this is number of Satan. Okay, Saturn, Satan, but 17 number of Lilith, and this connected with Isis and Osiris. And this was, I've seen stuff that's funny because when you communicate, and people from this, they communicate with you, okay, and they speak in symbols. So I was seeing the symbol of the missing penis. And I was like, because in the story, Isis saves Osiris, puts something as his penis, gets pregnant from him, and then he dies, and then she has a child from him, and he was cut to 14 pieces, like really weird shit. And she reincarnates him basically for to have some good sex and then have a child, and then bye-bye. So Lilith is associated with Isis, and the number 17 is associated with that, and then 7 is Osiris and kind of like Satan, like so much weird shit. And I'm not a good satanist teacher because I'm not a satanist myself. So, but there are all kinds of rituals that are done, okay, around these things, and that's just, yeah, we're approaching one. So there's going to be some fated ritual. Mars wasn't on degree 7; it's now on degree 8, but it's still releasing from the T-square. So there's going to be some fated event to do with satanic concurrence that affects the people, or the people exposing satanic cult, which is maybe what I'm doing. I don't know. So again, there's some fated events. When I wrote Sugar Free Lemonade, I was doing kind of adaptation of a satire. It was not written for profit. It was written as, therapeutic and stuff like that, as satire, the sacred satire. And number 7 was coming up, so I've perpetuated this, and then 7 October. And then I had a request. They don't know what's energy. When I was in the airport, requested for me to do satire on the Blaulicht Canal. I need to watch this. Yes, it's supposed to be a satire about him, I guess. So he ordered the satire, and I guess there's going to be a lot of good stuff. It's about a civilian that digs a tunnel in Tel Aviv, supposedly to go abroad. I assume there are a lot of tunnels in Tel Aviv. They would say it is Hamas when they want to unalive the heads of intelligence that are in these tunnels. I don't know. But that was when I was at the airport. And the interesting thing about Blaulicht Canal, which is actually a good tip for me, because Sugar Free Lemonade was adaptation of a Gashash River. And then I was like, okay, no money changes hands. But the Blaulicht Canal, it was a movie, and it was adaptation of actual play that took place before that. So that's given me actually reasoning for to make it profit if I ever wish to. But we have to annihilate 9 millennia hermaphrodite cult. Just like I did all of these practices from since the Inuit of child trafficking and child infanticide and forced marriage and an overall lack of willing consent. It's just have to, nuke them rather than clone them, which is what was done up to now. And then I can write a satire about the days that war. But well, how do I alchemize the rot money to this? Well, it partially happened with the welfare, but this is a question. But yes, sometimes people that try to bring you down at one point, and then they give you something that's like, oh, there's actually a key to actually making money from these satires. So Blaulicht Canal, it had to do with the and everybody's saying that this person is crazy and so on. So the joking on the crazy and who is the crazy, and all of that, and making a lot of noise in the city, drilling in the city. So yeah, Tel Aviv looked like Blaulicht when they did the train, the tram, and stuff like that. But it is funny. I don't know if I'm going to write a satire or not, but that's just something that came up. When the person that you escaped orders a satire on themselves. Like, okay, yes, I've received an order. And then yes, it's let's see. Okay, what this brings. Um, so the moon is approaching. Okay, approaching this conjunction. Let's look at the. Oh, it's his moon hour. It's hour. It's soon to be Saturn hour, but right now it's moon hour. I want to look. Let's look at the news. Um, in there means there's many zeros after the one. I guess you get another couple of zeros after the one. That happened, yeah, I think a while ago. And yes, I don't know what will I see. So there's another explosion. That was 2 hours ago, 1 hour ago. UN General Assembly overwhelmingly calls for end of Israeli occupation. Basically for the, I don't know what they call occupation. 1948. So yes, imagine they call the end occupation of, let's say the end occupation of Christianity in Europe. I think it's pretty much. I was not off the hook. It's not far fetched. New era of war beginning as more Hezbollah devices explode across Lebanon. No, it used to be letters. When my parents were in Netherlands, it's 1973. That's the time they married. It was a question about whether to keep. They could not receive mail for a while because there was fear that they will bring bomb letters. And so it was the. So it's yes, it's not French letters, but sorry, I had to give the French letters jokes. It is of course a little eclipse shade. But now, if instead of letters we have beepers, so they explode. So it's nothing new. It's just that the technology changed. When you're 40 years old and you feel yourself Centaurian because you live in Israel, I got every reason to feel. Okay. Any more news? Okay. Germany warns Moldova next in line if Ukraine falls. Or maybe Germany. I don't know. Like, you legalize pedophilia. Who do you think is going to go first? You might say, okay, Russia. I don't know. Maybe like they never say what's with them. Zumba class starts in November. They actually don't do it well. They should do it more like belly dancing, but okay. If you want to break your back. I don't see anything much in the recent hours. Okay, if you want to see what's happening in my little unimportant region, I'll give you the Rotter stuff. Rotter.net. That's the insider stuff. I learned it from somebody who was addicted to the news. Okay, very recent. American national security. They said they weren't involved with the stuff in Lebanon in the last 2 days. It's kind of like, hey, nobody asked you. Now that you say that, we might suspect that nobody asked you. It's like the US MK Ultra said it wasn't us. Nobody asked you. But now that you're saying that, okay, so people want to turn millions to Haredi
education, which is exactly what you think that it is, but it's not legal. But then the juristic is exactly what you think that it is. So I don't know. Um, oh, ambassador of Iran in Lebanon was evacuated to Iran with 90 wounded and their families. Okay, it's getting kind of important. That was 22:29. We're 22:41. It was 12 minutes ago. Okay. Central US Bank lowered the interest in 0.5%. Okay. They're planning another housing crisis. It's kind of like in Hebrew we say vidui hariga for housing. It's kind of like to make sure that it's dead. That the real estate market is dead. um, I'm not laughing because I'm rich. I'm laughing because that's my way of coping with that. Um, you could consider it Showa jokes. Okay. Yes. Uh, what the fuck? There's okay. Something illogical to say that the first lady who died in Gaza. It's not. Whatever. Um, oh, this is okay. Assad, Syria. Okay, transformed to telephone. Telephone, like not smartphone, so it's not Wi-Fi, just like telephone, like a telephone. And in Lebanon, they destroy any kind of Wi-Fi based communication so that it wouldn't explode. I'm not gonna get my telephone. It's just like Uranus, 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 Uranus. Sky God, I salute you. This is funny. I actually saw this. I remember when I was with my bestie used to sense earthquakes, and I had a sense for the coin. I have Uranus in Sag. I don't know why, but it's not like I'm a good investor. It's just like I actually am because because I'm good enough to tell it like don't worry about it. You're not gonna have anything yielding. Literally told Elon Musk, yeah, but they changed the currency, so they can change it on you anytime. And so, um, but then I said, about the digital coins, kind of like the bit, just like buy it and forget about it, because everybody's trying to do like shorts on video. I'm not saying it's not working; it's that people got nice lobsters from it, but for you to get more than lobsters, there's other things that have to happen other than investing in Bitcoin. And that's insider information too, okay? Fraud on fraud on fraud. But you understand what these people are escaping, so you understand why these frauds. Um, okay, that's pretty much okay. Everybody's excited about the beepers. Russia decided on a cooperation with Iran, which is, I guess, exactly what Victor said. Okay, if you watch Astro Victor, so it's gonna be war with Iran. And I'm like, yeah, I've seen that a couple of years ago. Not as an astrologer, as an MK Ultra attacked individual who said no to her psychologist. And what I wanted to say about the coin is like I saw there was a Uranus thingy where I saw like I was talking to my best friend like we're not gonna have electricity, we're not gonna have like the communication, the internet, and I was just standing there and was like, wondering. It's like we saw the World War, okay? We saw the World War, and then he got weirdly, he like attacked by MK Ultra. I was like, ah, and that's it. That's what I remember. They were more sensitive to energy even than me, and we did like all the weird rocks to change that, and that was so, yeah. When it got to, and then they were attacked by this division about like the genders, and that was so degenerating for the psyche. um but yeah, all this weird shit. So this is what's in our region. Okay, we got like let's go back. Let's go back to the moon. Yeah, still got some degrees away. With Saturn time, I don't want to add it in Saturn time. About 50 minutes until Jupiter hour. So the conjunction is going to be okay quite soon. Don't see like world news. You know what? Let's see. I want to see about mandatory army service in Europe. Service EU. Okay. It's July. July, May. Okay. The ages they're talking about is 18 to 27, by the way. There is a thought about until like 40. I remember this being discussed by Europeans. Okay, there's nothing much with it right now. Okay. Let's see what's up with NATO. You understand I'm following your report and I'm following. It's like there's going to be war with Iran, and I'm like, let's see what's up with NATO. Romania urges robust NATO response to airspace violation by Russia 3 hours ago. This is mandatory army like that shit is mandatory army recruitment in Europe. Yes. Now, Rutte is supposed to take his role on October 1 if he's not sued. There's the question of immunity and the testing for the Julian Assange case, where Julian was not given immunity by working for the embassy or being, and now it's kind of like, will Rutte be given immunity because he's supposed to enter his role as head of NATO in October 1. So that's really tight, and we kind of in the in-between stage. Romania demands action from NATO over Shahed drone invasion. Okay, so Russia has been hovering above Romania, and Romania calls NATO. Okay, because obviously they can't do it themselves, it's Russia. And this is Stoltenberg. That's the guy that Rutte is supposed to, okay, serve in his role. So it says we have provided military equipment to prevent the war. We could have provided military equipment to prevent the war. Outgoing NATO boss. This is Politico. NATO boss. like a mob boss. I don't know. Tells Frankfurter Allgemeine. Oh my god. When I try to speak Dutch, I sound German. I was just. Where was all that Dutch when I needed it? Damn. NATO could have done more to arm Ukraine. Yes. Well, they try to use Ukraine like they use Israel. It's kind of like, hey, let these guys fight all this crazy Iranian, Syrian, Iraqi stuff that we made crazy. But we can't blame it on, like, we can't, with Putin, like, we don't have this argument. It's like, Putin. We have the secret societies, but that's about it. Okay. Putin warning to NATO. I don't have the natal chart for Putin. Let's see if I have the natal chart for Putin. Because we actually don't. Natal chart. Okay, they say 7 October. Say what? 1952. We don't know if that's true. Most people say it's not true. Rate DD. So this is a very bad. And people say we have the time, but it's a very bad rating for this chart. Let's just take a look. If it is true, he has Pluto 22nd degree of Leo, which means political mass assassination of, in a bisextile with Mercury in Libra. It's actually kind of close to Spica. 0 degree ascendant, conjunct in my Pluto, oh my god. Or you should say, oh my god, I don't know. But if we don't have his time, okay? We don't have my complete rectification or his. So yes, Mars on my midheaven. Mars is my malefic of sect, okay? What is this Libra stellium? From Russia with love. And the Uranus 18 degrees Cancer. Uranus 18 degrees is degree of poison. People. Luna Gemini conjunct in my Chiron. Jupiter 19 degrees Taurus. Jupiter Taurus squares Pluto. Pluto midheaven. Pluto midheaven in Leo. It makes a lot of sense. But this is given Sun in the 12th house, so, and conjunct in Saturn and Neptune. I don't know. Like, I don't know. It could, you know what? It could be the chart, but I don't know. So Libra conjuncting Saturn, conjuncting Neptune, conjuncting Mercury, Venus 11th degree, Scorpio, okay, with Mars in Sag, and Rahu Ketu. Okay, Rahu would be in Ketu would be in Leo. 18th degree, again, degree of poison. Rahu ruled by Saturn, which is in Libra. Saturn is exalted in Libra. It can mean longevity of ruler, but Libra Sun is is considered in fall. So I don't know. The bisextile here with Mercury is interesting. I know he's very appreciated with people for the infrastructure he does in Russia. So this is given Sol Saturn Neptune, okay? Because people, what they love about Putin, the people who've been in Russia, they really love the infrastructure. They say it's looking very good, but you can't say about other countries. So Saturn can be someone who exalts as leader doing infrastructure, and Saturn Neptune is the timestamp of the Saturn Neptune cycle of Russia in general. So you know what? I think it could be the chart. I don't know for the houses, but the chart could be the chart. Mars in Sag, the action has desire to expansion. And is very protected. Mercury, not too far from Spica, can have to do with eloquence and trade. And indeed, he's being perceived as leader where people have a lot of respect, okay, for Putin. The drive for his action is desire for freedom and expansion of land, because Jupiter is in Taurus. Jupiter in Taurus, sextile Uranus in Cancer. He's not a radical idealist, but he is able to have ideas that expand. He can be, okay, as leader, Uranus Cancer can be I don't know, because I don't understand enough about this degree. 18 degrees, the degree of poison. So you must beware of like plagues or mass assassination through plagues when it comes, both for him as leader, that he could be, okay, but that he could be touched by this. It doesn't mean that he perpetuates this, but it means that he can be touched by. And of course, when you think about like COVID and stuff like that, then this is something that could affect him, okay? This is where the situation of the outer planets could affect him. Jupiter is 19 degrees, it's not 18 degrees, but Uranus 18 degrees. And the nodes 18 degrees, so that can mean that the roles of plagues and poison and poisoning can play a significant role, fated role, in his career as leader and for infrastructure. Okay. Also, if people would think to invade Russia or to respond to Russia, supposedly to protect themselves from Russian invasion, they cannot play plague. But they will try to do this. In the Netherlands, they wanted to enforce the emergency laws of the pandemic in order to enforce the issue of immigrants being deported or something like that. So you see how the refugees issue connects with the pandemic issue, which is interesting because before the war with Ukraine, when I was homeless, I was in shelter of the GGD. It was just health municipality. It was winter shelter because of the lockdown. It was closed with the removal of the lockdown. It's not really closed, but you know. When you don't take these pills or that pills, then ga weg. So for my life, I'm lucky I didn't know about pandemic then. But now that we're looking at Vladimir Putin's chart, I'd say challenges. Okay, challenges if people want to go into Russia under his leadership. Mass assassination can be because of or through toxins. Okay, people also can rebel, spread toxins, chemical weapon, all 18 degrees. Diseases, chemical weapon, toxins to nervous system, and the toxins that affect the heart with Pluto assassination as Pluto is cell regeneration. Can be where's Sun Libra, Venus Scorpio. It's also something that yes, Putin needs to protect himself from, of course, but it's in many ways. Okay, pandemic is not bad for Putin. Pandemic is good because he can expand. His Jupiter is sextiling this Uranus. He become favored of the people. Why? Because 18 degrees Uranus means that under toxicity there will be space, and for the people under his regime. Okay, so think about well, when I was in Israel, there was COVID. I had a friend who was a teacher, and she said now we have only 5-6 children in group. It's like we're Finland. So some people, the effect of space, they can like it. It depends on how you deal, because Russia has a lot of land. If you allow people to take up space and live in the land, then we'll have good life. They will like it. And you have good infrastructure. PowerPoint, so you can expand on land if you build good infrastructure for the people. And under pandemic, he can actually get the people to participate in revolution. Okay? But he must use the pandemic smartly, because if he when we try to tame Uranus, with Uranus you set intention, you let it. When we try to tame Uranus, this is where the weird shit happens. With Uranus you let go. Pluto in heaven, there's desire to control for the destiny. And Pluto 22, of course, is must to kill and to be killed. So he's in position where, under his leadership, entire Russia in position where they kill or be killed. And this is in protective bisextile with the desire to have land expansion. Okay, so he's in good position to be participant in perpetual war. And this happens actually when I see this, I say the war on Crimea, and then on Georgia, and then on Ukraine. For him, his position as leader was basically curation for the 22 Pluto on the natal chart. Is if he is taking position of to kill and be killed, then he's living in the chart. Okay, he doesn't let things happen to him or in Russia to be invaded. And it's not that Russia would be invaded by Ukraine. It's more like World Health Organization. It's more like WHO. Okay. And this is problem, because we don't want mass, like Ruta said, Finlandization of Europe. But also, it's not a good idea to begin to invade Russia and make of its people enslaved, okay, to globalism as well.
And I'm not saying that Russia is not a part of globalism. We know that Edward Snowden would not be so safe in Russia if, okay? So I'm so and the opening communication line for JFK and the Kremlin, but there's a McDonald's branch in the Kremlin. So I'm not saying yes, but it's also for this leader in this position with Russia, is been Putin is in position for to kill and be killed politically, and so for not to be assassinated, has political yes or assassin other politicians or other leaders. Yeah, we know performers and all kind of solar figures. Venusian is more problematic here. So judges, women, but also diplomats. People who could be killed building the infrastructures as well. Again, it's not. But remember, I don't know if this chart is correct. So because it's so much so that he could be given. This could be completely different chart. We don't have Putin say this is my birth chart. Okay, this is DD. It's not. It could be completely bogus. Okay, so this entire thing could be completely bogus. So that is just reading for chart, and that's it. Okay, I don't know if this is true, if this is indeed a chart of Putin, if this is true, if this is indeed his birthday. Okay, 7 October is giving me either birth is not natural. I don't know to read in a chart if birth is natural or not. Fated here, mid-heaven, and I see, so can be something fated, but it can be given birth is not natural, so that he will be born on a certain date and so on, if this is the birthday. Because 7, we know, it's the number of Saturn and all that I said, Isis, Osiris, and so on. Is important for these cults that are international. But can be that this is invented. Okay, it can be that this is invented. And again, they know astrology, so Russia likes to keep things hidden. And it may be that we don't really have anything. This is why I didn't cover the Sun, Saturn, Neptune. It looks legit. The houses, I don't know if he has stellium in the 12th house. The outer planets, I don't know enough about Russia to say this. But yes, because he's known for having a good infrastructure for Russia, and people like him because of that. Yes, this chart is giving desire for expansion on land, but it's survivalistic desire. And again, it can be wrong. And remember, because there are so many potential nations in Russia, then any triggering of the Saturn Neptune can cause for more countries to want to call for their own nationality, both within China and both within Russia. This is why China is such a natural company to Russia. I'm not saying allies, but definitely not estranged. And this is also true to the United States. Okay, a lot of people wanting such big chunk of land, you understand, is not homogeneous in terms of traditions, religion, tribes, ancestry, culture, politics, and even language. So to keep all of this together is very difficult. And indeed, infrastructure can be a strong point here. Okay, to have viral infrastructure is a strong PowerPoint, very smart move, and very benefic move. Okay, who doesn't like good infrastructures? Like, just something that is so important, and it is so challenging. Um, so I do believe that something along these lines of the Pluto of the Libra stellium is correct. But I don't know about the houses, and there could be many timestamps. Okay, the Saturn Neptune is giving us even the year. It can be even a different year. Okay, because Saturn Neptune they play along the Libra line, so it can be the date. It can be not the date. Um, and this is given Chiron 7 degrees Capricorn, which is ruled by the Saturn. And again, I don't feel. Look, Chiron 7 degrees Capricorn. He's known for infrastructure. Something doesn't make sense. Either that this is tremendous, great correlation for his Chiron, that makes perfect sense. Because what would be the best Chiron charity? To build infrastructure, Saturn, throughout the whole country. This is a very Capricorn charity, and to curate the infrastructure for Russia. And this would be giving him the exalted Saturn that supposedly limits his sun, but sun above the horizon would still be Saturn is a malefic of sect, and then he's doing the correct thing to curate the wound of infrastructure in Russia, and that's giving him a lot of respect internationally, because the Saturn is also with Neptune. Saturn Neptune in Aries will be 0 degrees Aries. And we'll see, and this is a signification of Netherlands. Netherlands has a lot of Aries timestamps, and this is where he's been threatened, both by the giving of money to Ukraine, but even the voices that says don't give that much money for Ukraine and so on. The voices that support Putin, like Thierry Boudet, yes, they do talk about deportation of refugees, and a large deportation is a mission for NATO, if you haven't figured that out yet. So this is practice. What is the practice? Of course, it's the practice that the army needs to practice on a large-scale mission. Large deportation of refugees is good large-scale mission, and you saw the many countries that play a part in this. It's just common sense, okay? And so, what's Blinken to do with this? Let's see. Because I got Blinken when I was with the Urano Algol. Visits Egypt but skips a stop in Israel. This is 3 hours ago. Warns against further Middle East escalation after Lebanon blasts. Basically is warning that what he has set out to do is about to come true. Let's see if we have a natal chart. Antony Blinken. So you're getting as political as it may be. Apparently we have a chart. No ascendant. Mars 27 Pisces. Ooh. Sol in Aries with Mercury on my Mercury. Interesting. Pluto, what did I say? 7 degrees Virgo. Uranus, 7 degrees Leo. Rahu, 15 Leo. Saturn at home sign at Aquarius. Jupiter, conjunct in full out at home in Pisces, not retrograde. Trine in Neptune. Venus at home in Taurus, direct. Sol exalted. Jupiter at home. Venus at home. Moon conjunct in Lilith. Well, he has to be MK Ultra like all of them, so I guess that's what it is. It's having Moon Pluto with Rute and Lilith Pluto with Filners. Anyway, sorry, we pay attention to Lilith in these eclipses. Sorry, not sorry. Mars, you see, well, we had the lunar eclipse. Yeah, the lunar eclipse on his Mars that's ruling his exalted Sun and Mercury. Mercury Aries is ruling. Now, Mars in Pisces, what did I say about Mars in Pisces? It blends. Mars in Pisces has Neptune karma to it. Okay? It's cycles that take the longest duration. It's not just a Saturn, like Mars in Capricorn or Mars in Aquarius. And it's not just Jupiter. Okay? It is a Neptune level Mars, which means it's you send a message in a battle, you surrender it, you feel completely helpless. Then energies and streams and chaotic equations amount and paramount in ways almost unforeseen, and then it just happens. Okay? And that is more that's the power of Mars in Pisces. It's not an easy Mars to work with, but it's a very powerful Mars. Okay, it's a Mars that is has the power of the ocean. It's be like the water. A lot of people that have this Wu Wei approach to life, or the type of martial arts that go to the Eastern martial arts, have Mars in Pisces. People that look into the missing people, or espionage or stuff like that have Mars in Pisces. Very, very powerful Mars. Very, very potent. And again, it's potent in the way where you have to surrender things, and it's Neptune level karma. Okay, so the person might spend decades where feeling like I'm completely useless, but no, it's Neptune level. And now Neptune is transiting this Mars, so his actions become viral but also invisible. Now there's a lunar eclipse here. Sol in Aries. Exalted Sun. Okay, it's not degree of exaltation, but Sun in Aries does not suffer. She's actually even better positioned than Leo. And the Mercury Sun. Gives the Mercury, or either combust or Cassini. Right conjunct in mine, so interesting. I may have more insight into how he thinks because we have conjunct same Mercury. And this is trining Uranus. Mercury is trining his Uranus. His Uranus sextile goal. Is Uranus conjunct the ascendant for Donald Trump? Is this what I think that it is? Let's look at who this guy is. Oh, we had.
Okay. American lawyer and diplomat, currently serving 71st U.S. Secretary of State. There's a lot that I don't understand what's going on here, because I got the calling to look at Blinken chart. I was looking at Wilder's chart, I was looking at Netherlands, and then I was like, Blinken. It was a Urano algo, and I was like, Blinken. You didn't notice the Blinken. I'm like, okay, what's he doing? But it wasn't feeling like Blinken is like against Trump, or I don't know. It's more like it might not be in favor of Israel. Deputy National Security Advisor, which is a very, elaborated word to say MK Ultra, from 2013 to 2015, Deputy Secretary of State, 2015 to 2017. So we're still under the eclipse of 2017, under Obama, previously National Security Advisor to then Vice President Joe Biden. Okay. Born in New York. He advocated for the 2003 invasion of Iraq. Yeah. While serving as Democratic Staff Director of Senate Foreign Relations Committee from 2002 to 2008. Foreign Policy Advisor for Joe Biden, 2008 presidential campaign. Then for Obama. Yeah, we don't get much from these Wikipedias. Helped US. I talked about this together. He helped US craft policy on Afghanistan, Pakistan, nuclear program, Iran. Okay, but the Taliban has the midheaven of Donald Trump. And 2 degrees away from our quarter. But it's 2 degrees, it's not in overall gold. Policy on Afghanistan, Pakistan, the nuclear. So what he helped Obama. Okay, Obama's policy. Okay, this is something I don't get, because Taliban is midheaven exactly off Donald Trump, and we know the Taliban's put Donald Trump like, he's been using it. Okay. Even it almost looked like he if it weren't invented, then he would invent them. That's what I'd say. Okay, but the Obama and the nuclear program of Iran. Okay, Obama and the nuclear program of Iran were like, how should I say it? There's a Frank Sinatra song to it. Let's just say, Obama allowed the nuclear program of Iran to grow with love. And Blinken advised him to do so. After leaving the government service, he moved to private sector, co-funding West Exec Advisors consulting firm. returned to the government as advisor to Biden. Then Biden picked for Secretary of State, a position of the Senate. Some orange energies just poofed out when I said what I said about Afghanistan. Like she said, of course I say that. A position of the Senate confirmed him for on January 26, 2021. And Anthony Blinken was featured on the cover of Time annual list for most influential people in 2024. But what? But what was it doing? It's kind of worrying. Why 2024? It's an annual list. Personal life. Another musician. Hoochie Coochie Man. Okay. So he was married by a rabbi and the priest of the Holy Trinity Catholic Church. The people I see with kippas that are is disturbing. Not from a Jewish point of view, from a humanistic point of view, or peopleistic point of view. A Neil Young song. Okay, keep on rocking in the free world. Keep on black rocking in the free world. I don't know. May 2024 in a bar in Ukraine. Oh, so he was performing. He was making music. Okay, fine. I mean, why not? I don't understand this. Capital Partners. Okay, there's a lot that I don't know. Member of the Council of Foreign Relations. I was previous global affairs analyst for CNN. It's very easy to be a global affairs analyst when you're in MK Ultra. How do you make such accurate predictions, sir? When you planned it and you execute it, then you predict it correctly. So I guess that's the thing. I don't know. Look at that. Look at that Masonic symbol that appeared out of nowhere. Yes. That just happened. Okay. Oh, 7 minutes to Jupiter. And it's safer! 7 minutes to Jupiter in Saturn's time. We had a Masonic symbol appearing, popping. And the Luna is conjunct in Rahu. It's right on the minute. Just 1 minute, one astrological minute. It was on the minute and it was 7 and 0 degrees. Alluding 7, and who we talked about? Blinken. And something to do with the Taliban. Ascendant 25. Gemini as we speak with Mercury. Mercury released from the opposition to Saturn. You can all breathe deeper, and whatever dumb shit you said, I want you to say it again with your chest. Got 3 degrees. Okay, I'm gonna let this one go because no, the 7 minutes. Will I make it?
I'm not going to folly around, okay? I'm going to point the clock for like uploading this a bit later. Just one more look at the news. One more look at it in 20 minutes. 20 minutes is what's up. After US intense diplomacy ongoing to avert Israel, Hezbollah, whatever. Haaretz. If you only knew what the Me Too they were starring. UN General Assembly, okay, we got it. Hezbollah devices explode again in Lebanon, raising fears of wider-Israel conflict. Reuters 4 minutes ago. Oh, well, that probably already was. Okay, this 15 years. 15 years also. Now it's again.